interning at record labels. And for those who don't know what an intern is, I interned at record labels for about 4 years, meaning that I gave my time and I worked for free and I gave my time for free at these record labels, just kind of like learning the industry a little bit and just working for people for free, just kind of doing it for my own personal reasons, for fun and social circles. Once I came home, I got an opportunity, someone offered me a job interview at Rockefeller Records. But at this time, friends of mine were already in the music industry. I don't know if many of you are familiar with Jim Jones, Cameron, Joel Santana, the Diplomats. They're friends of mine. Cameron had already had an album out on Rockefeller. So I took them up on the offer. I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and take up them on this offer at Rockefeller Records. This is Jay-Z's record label at the time. I got hired. Now, mind you, I started off as an intern. Didn't realize during my intern years that brothers were paying attention to my hard working and my loyalty and me just being responsible. And that's how I got offered the opportunity to at least interview. Because you never know who's watching you and paying attention to you when you leave the privacy of your home. And that's what kind of happened for me. I was just interning. I didn't know anybody was watching me and paying attention. I'm like, I'm an intern. I'm here doing this for free. Nobody is paying attention to me, but actually people were. People were like, wow, we like this brother. This brother works hard. This brother is dedicated to this, and he's not even getting paid for it. And this brother is taking the job really seriously. So 4 years later, I got offered a job interview. I didn't get the job interview based on my education. I got the job interview really based on the 4 years before from interning, just working hard, and then I became a little older, and brothers kind of welcomed me as a much more mature young brother. And at this time, I'm a young brother in my early 20s, not even knowing that I'm getting ready to step into the lion's den, and I wasn't mature enough or prepared for what I was about to embark upon. So at the time, you know, Rockefeller was the biggest and most popular record label out there. We had Rockaway Clothing, Armadale Vodka, Rockefeller Films. We had, you know, all the biggest name artists, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Jim Jones, we had about 35 artists on the label. And I didn't realize that I'm getting ready to step into a world that's gonna change my life again and ultimately make me revisit the lifestyle that I was chasing as a youngster, but maximize it to a point where I had status, I had celebrity status, I had money, and I had a 5-star lifestyle, so it just magnetized it. So I got this job. It first started off as an intern, then it started off as the it started off as intern, promotions, assistant national director of marketing and promotion, then it led to being a tour manager. So at this time, I got an opportunity to travel the world with Jay-Z. This was my first time traveling with Jay-Z. I got on tour. Jay-Z loved me. I was, very responsible. I handled my business. I was loyal. I kept my mouth shut. I did my job, and I was just all about business. I was able to improvise because there's no manual for being a tour manager or anything like that. It's basically you're out there on tour. Things happen. You got to know how to fix the problem without having a manual. You got to know how to make things happen without telling the artist you can't make them happen. You got to improvise, you got to get out there, and you got to do what it takes to make this person happy and have a successful tour. So this was now the beginning of me in a lifestyle and in an industry working with many, many celebrities. I started off working for Jay-Z, and I continued. I worked for Jay-Z, Kanye West. I've toured all over the world. I've had a chance to tour with Snoop, Akon. The list just goes on. I've traveled the world. I've been to over 50 countries. I've traveled to almost all 50 states. I've been to 49. I got one left. So I've been to over 50 countries. I've been to about 9 Islamic countries. And at this time, I was at the height of the lifestyle I was living. I was young. I had money. I had women. I was partying. I was living a 5-star lifestyle. I traveled the world first class. I was staying in 5-star hotels. I had beautiful women all over the world, from France to all over Europe to all over every part of the world I touched down in. I was turning into an alcoholic almost because I smoked a lot of weed. you know, did some drugs, pills. I was drinking every single day of my life because the lifestyle that I lived allowed me to embrace this because we did this every day. This was a part of the socializing of it. We fly to a country or a city, we party, we perform, we do our stuff, we get girls, we just have a good time. We get on a tour bus or an airplane and go do it all over the next day. So I did this for about 14 years, and every day I was just either drunk or high and just partying and just sleeping with women everywhere. I just, I had all kind of jewelry and amounts of money, spending all kind of money in the club on champagne and liquor and all of this kind of stuff. And after so many years of living this lifestyle, I started to realize that the things that I had, the materialistic things I had, I started to question, was that really success for me? And I started to ask myself, wow, like, for some reason I couldn't find fulfillment or completeness in my heart. For some reason I started to try to seek something different. I started to step out and started to realize the women and the drugs and the alcohol and the celebrity status that I had and the celebrities that I've traveled the world with and the celebrities that I've worked for, what I was chasing, I could never catch it. I couldn't find any happiness in the women I was in and out of bed with. I couldn't find happiness in the drugs and the drinking I was doing. I would wake up feeling the same way the next day. Traveling the world with all these celebrities, I still couldn't find happiness in that. And everybody outside of me saw happiness and praised me and thought that I was living a wonderful lifestyle. And everybody, and it felt good having the celebrity status. And everywhere I go, there's bodyguards, there's security, there's, you know, paparazzi, there's people taking pictures, there's you know, A-list vehicles, there's all kind of, you know, Suburbans and cars. It's like everywhere we went, I lived like this for a long time, and for some reason I still couldn't find that sense of completeness though. So I started to step outside of the lifestyle that I was living and try to see if I could find it in religion. My family was all Christian. I started to ask around. I was like, man, you know, I want to try to see if I could find God, man, you know, because at the time I didn't really like have a strong, my family, my grandmother was a very devoted Christian. She passed away really, you know, devoted to Christianity, and I commend her because she's the only woman that I know that was never a hypocrite. I can't say that my grandmother was perfect, but my grandmother was, she loved her some Jesus, man. She did, peace be upon him. She loved her, and my grandmother left here really believing in what she used to show me and preach as a youngster, and she left here with that Bible and believing in Jesus. And my thing is that even if me now being Muslim and my grandmother, she passed away being Christian, I could really say that she was a true believer in what she believed in, a true believer. But I would ask my grandmother so many questions about Christianity and other religions. I just started to ask and seek. I just couldn't find the answers in them. And I never once wanted to say anything bad about those religions, but they just didn't give me the completeness or the things that were fulfilling for me. And I was just like, man, I just couldn't understand like the Trinity, and I couldn't understand the, you know, the Jesus and the God. I was like, you know, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand a lot of things about the Bible. I was so confused, and you know, and that's not even saying anything bad again, because I don't like for anyone to misinterpret my words. You know, I'm saying nothing bad about it. I just couldn't find what I was looking for in it, and I began to seek even further. So one time I took a trip to, I was with Akon and Fat Joe. We went to Dubai. I went to Dubai for the first time, and when I landed in Dubai, this is when it changed my life. This was about 6 years ago. I landed in Dubai, and the way that I was treated by the Muslims was overwhelming. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing, because they were so warm, and they were so, and it didn't matter where they were from. It was just Muslims in general, because in my community, there were only like African Muslims, and, you know, it was kind of a, everybody were a little you know, in their own areas. You know, Africans would hang with Africans, and it was a little, you know, segregated kind of. And I never really had an opinion on Muslims or Islam before 9/11, after 9/11, or even up into to when I went to Dubai. People would ask me what I thought about Muslims and Islam. I'm like, I don't think anything, because like Islam didn't have an effect on my life at the time. Muslims didn't have an effect on me. The only thing I wanted was money and women at the time. So I was like, man, I don't really care about religion like that, dude. Like Christian, Muslim, Jew, whatever, Israelite, I don't really care. If you ain't got no beautiful women, or got a check for me to get some money, I ain't really tripping, man. I really didn't care. I'm like, assalamu alaikum, whatever y'all say, it don't matter to me, man. You know, cut me a check, brother. That's how I felt. But when I got to Dubai and the brothers welcomed me, and I heard the adhan for the first time, I was like, what is that? Like, it sounded so beautiful, but I was confused because I had never heard it before. And I started to be intrigued by it. And then when it was time to make salat, I noticed everybody had scattered to go and make prayer. I had never seen that in my life. Where I'm from, brothers would just be like, oh, Jesus, please, you know, Jesus, whatever. And then it was back to doing whatever, you know, and I was just, that was just kind of like the norm for me. Like my friends or family, they'd go to church, and, you know, I knew people, they'd just be like, oh, Jesus, please, you know, whatever. And then it's just like, so that's how I knew how to pray. But I noticed, like, I was like, wow, the Muslims are going in here and they're praying. And I was like saying to myself, they really love Allah. And I got intrigued by it, and I was like overwhelmed with it. And I was like, man, this is not the Muslims that I know from 9/11 or any of that. I was ignorant, but I wasn't like ignorant to where I'm like, you know, forget Muslims or any of that. I was just ignorant to where I didn't know, and I didn't care in the beginning. I just didn't have an opinion. But I went into my hotel later that night. I'll never forget this. I stayed in the Al Marouj Hotel in Dubai, 5-star. It's actually a 6-star hotel. And there was a young brother who was working in the lobby. And I went up to the brother, and I was like, you know, I had befriended him while I was there. We got to know each other. And I said, hey, brother. I said, yo, can you tell me about Islam? I was like, yo, tell me about Muslims, you know. And he was like, mashallah. And I was like, what? I said, fam, what are you talking about? I was like, what? So he started laughing, and he explained to me what mashallah means. I said, brother, you got to talk, you know, English to me. I don't even know what that means, man. But we laughed it off. And then the brother kind of gave me some basic information about Islam to take back to New York. So I thanked the brother, and I came back to New York. But I came back to New York afraid to tell friends and family that I was interested in Islam. And this was 6 years ago, mind you. So when I came back, I would secretly like read a little bit. And I would be like, man, there's so many rules in Islam. I'm like, I don't know about this, dude. Like, I'm like, what? I'm like, man, I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I got a little scared away by all the rules and the discipline and what's halal and what's haram. I'm like, man, I'm gonna need a manual for all this. I don't even know how I'm gonna be able to keep up with this if I want to pursue this. So I was kind of juggling like what people would think or say about me in my community, because you know, in Harlem, all we want to do is get fly. Everybody want to be fresh. You know, everybody want to be on the block and have the nicest cars and jewelry. That's what Harlem is about. Sugar Hill, getting money. You know, and I was just like, man, like, I don't want to be walking around with thobes on and the Galabay and the kufi. I'm like, man, I ain't walking around my neighborhood looking like that, dude. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to do that. All my boys walking around fresh on. They got on jeans and, you know, looking good. And I'm like, fresh cut. I'm walking around here with a beard and a thobe. I was like, nah, I don't know if I'm really ready to, like, commit to something like that. So it was tough at first. I was like, man, like, then I started saying, man, you know, I'm flying beautiful women in from Switzerland and South Africa, and I got women coming from Paris, and I'm like, am I ready to get that up to walk around looking like this? I'm like, I don't know about that. So I kind of put it down for a while. I was like, man. Then I started asking other Muslims. I'm like, damn, dude, why is there so many rules in Islam, dude? I'm like, and he started explaining things. I said, brother, man, like, where I'm from, I ain't really have no rules or boundaries, so it's hard for me to really, like, understand that. I'm like, you know, and he explained it, and I'm just like, dude, like, but it's a lot of rules. How do you keep up with all these prayers and and rules and everything is this, and I'm like, everything is that. You gotta look at the floor.